Welcome back to Character Select. Dave and Savin back for more Pillars of Eternity.
Hello.
Sure.
So, we are here in place with people.
Are you sure this is the right save?
Yes.
Because we've already been...
No, because we
Oh,
left
did we
and
leave
did
the town and come... Oh, right.
Yeah, we
okay.
left and did Sagati's thing.
Okay. Right, yes.
I'm sorry, that is...
That's a Sabretooth.
Jesus.
He's a big lad.
Indeed. So we need to go to the...
Ter Evron, which is...
Elms Reach
further
District.
north. Yeah, there you go.
So at this point, we have been playing this game for a very long time, and as with most of these CRPGs, the time has come to finish the game. Leveling up is no longer really a concern. We've got some really good stuff. I'm not too worried about the rest of it. I don't remember. Was it you or me?
You go.
Alright. The guard places a spear between you and the path that leads beyond the gates. Still, Estromor. The rest of the city is forbidden except by order of one of the Anamfatha. Anamfatha? Anamfatha? Yeah. Trespassing in Twin Elms is punishable by death. I come to see the cornerstone with the blessing of the guided compass. The guard scowls and looks at his companion, who nods back. He turns to you again, his knuckles whitening around the shaft of his spear. Always too cozy with the Estromoran. Go then, and mind your step around the sacred stones.
I didn't know we were playing Fire Emblem.
God damn it. Which one was that? Was that...
It was Fire Emblem 8, The Sacred Stones.
Oh, yeah. Okay. There were a lot of those. There are a lot of those.
Yeah, there's like 16 numbered Fire Emblems, or mainline Fire Emblems.
And people give friggin' Final Fantasy shit. Jesus. Glenfathan home, Glenfathan...
They started around the same time, so yeah, it makes sense they have the same number of games.
Ooh, the Blood Sands. That sounds great. Twin Elms, Ter Evron.
Yeah.
I just want to take a look at a couple of these places.
Yeah.
I'm not sure about, I mean, we've got something that we need to do. We'll not cease their attacks. We must summon the warriors from every tribe.
Meh.
Why do you continue to support Arona? Okay, so there's a debate between factions here, apparently.
Oh, this is important.
You have stayed true to our cause, Inquisitor, when so many others have not. For every heretic we confess, for every betrayer that burns on our pyres, new sheep continue to flock to Iavara ex Incios. But not you. I underestimated you in the beginning, but no longer.
I'm not sure what's going on here. I'm sorry, I'm looking at this and I'm just trying to figure out what he's talking about.
Oh, it's Theos' talk. Remember last session you learned about Iavara.
I struggle to remember what Iavara is. It's obviously a movement.
So Iavara is a person. She's leading a movement that's causing rebellion throughout the Inquithan civilization.
Right. And Theos wanted to incite that and drive it further.
No, quite the opposite.
Oh.
She is a rebel against Theos.
Okay. When so many others
he
have
is
not.
The Grand Inquisitor.
Right. So it's like, hey, we're punishing these terrible heretics and betrayers, and that's causing people to lose their faith and go to the other side. But I'm staying loyal. Okay, I got it. All right. New recording session, everybody. Sorry. You honor me, Grand Inquisitor.
It is not for honor that I summoned you today, but for duty. Too many of our own have confessed upon the wheel and the rack and the flame. Too many of our faithful have had their minds poisoned by the Kratom witch. The tide is against us now. We have but one option. Iavara's following must see her exposed for what she is. She must confess her heresy before my court.
How would we reach her?
Not in Kratom, surely. Their lord has embraced her heathen faith and protects her with his army. But in Oceanus, things would be different. The king of Oceanus is a sinful man. We have helped him to see the error of his ways, and now he fears for his soul. He would pay any price for absolution.
But how would we get Iovara to move to Oceanus?
You have already done much for the Inquisition. I wouldn't ask this were there any other choice.
He wants us to betray Iovara.
Not just betray, but to lure her to doom.
Mm-hmm. Oh, great, these things. Two identical women seem to fade into view as they move away from the great trees that camouflage them. Their skin is tree bark, ridged and scaly, wreathed in a curling tangle of roots, buds, and blooms. Their hair hangs beneath the shade of serrated leaves like the drooping branches of the elms above, and the pupils of their eyes are encircled by hundreds or even thousands of concentric rings, as if to mark the accumulated wisdom of millennia.
Turn around, flesh creature. Outsiders are not permitted to approach the elms.
The other stares at you unblinking, and as her frown deepens, her face creaks. Do you not feel it, sister? Something familiar. An ancient soul like the other one. Another defiler, no doubt. Let us fell her and be troubled no more. It would pay the debt of her predecessor. That's rude. I don't even know that. Well, I do kind of know that guy. But I'm trying to kill him too. Come on, help me out.
Seems like you know him a lot, actually.
Yeah.
So it would seem, Rhiannon. But we must not hasten to judgment. I see a different motive here. Different questions in these eyes.
Also, I just made the connection between our problem and Merwin. Where Merwin's past lives were on one side of the War of Blackened Trees and then on the other side of the War of Blackened Trees. And it drove him insane trying to reconcile that. And our past life was with Theos and now we're against him. That's fucked up.
What of it, young trespasser? Is it as my sister says? Or are you here to stain this place with foul deeds?
I seek a man who came through here. It sounds as though you have already met him. There, by her own admission, Sita.
Really, sister? And you wonder why your leaves begin to fall out before midsummer. Clearly that man did not want to be followed. Whatever the relationship here, I suspect it is anything but cordial. The answer is yes, old one. We crossed paths with Theos not long ago, and we can tell you where he went. But I find it curious that anyone would seek him out. Suspicious, even. If we are to help you find him, we would know why.
Hey. I mean, when you get right down to it, the whole thrust of this game is I have a problem and he's the only one who can fix it. By dying,
that's
hopefully.
Accurate.
Stopping him might end Widewind's legacy. Well, it would end the machinations to keep it going, and we could probably shut down the machines. I don't fully know myself. Is kind of at this point, if you don't really know, then god damn it, figure it out. Pick a reason. Jesus. Stopping him might end Widewind's legacy.
So that is the reason he passed this way. This is low, even for the Leaden Key.
I told you we should have confronted him, Sheila. He has always been a poison.
It would have been the last thing we ever did, sister. Who can be said to have ever gotten the better of Theos?
Yes, but imagine how much fun it would have been. Can't you just picture him all strung up in vines like an angry little puppet?
But that's not what this is really about, is it? You are bound to that man. I see it now. You are awakened. Your soul is awake, and something once buried deep now wells to the surface. Past overwhelms present, closes in around you. Your time has nearly reached its end.
I just need to get to Theos.
I am sorry to tell you this, but Theos cannot give you what you seek. Nor can any man. An awakening cannot be undone, any more than your past can be undone.
What'd she mean? I thought Merwald said, this is permanent? I'm sorry. We did not come down this road together to be refused passage by a pair of talking saplings. You fucking tell him, Durance. Magico.
Medico.
There must be some way. So this has all been for nothing, and I'm going to lose my mind.
The soul is formless without a past to shape it. Did you truly expect to be able to wipe it away?
Had to believe in something. That's such a sad answer.
Yeah, right? I would live with it if I could.
That is the penance we all pay. But penance cannot be paid for a past only known in fragments and glimpses. However, as much as my sister speaks truly that there is no way back from an awakening, there may yet be a way forward. Would you agree, Shiva?
I would. Were the way not so likely to end in death.
Death may
Is
be
her
preferable.
name pronounced Shiva?
I
That's
think
what it sounded like.
So it reminds me of the pronunciation of she, as in the Fae. So
Yeah.
I think it's just she with an A at the end. So Shiha. Death may be preferable to what lies in store for me.
It may, but not all deaths are alike, and the man you pursue is versed in thousands of them.
That's not good.
The man Theos you must already know by now. You are linked by a common past. Something about it lingers within you, festering, unresolved. What it is I cannot see any more than you. And without that knowledge, your doom is certain. But were you to learn the source of this discord, perhaps it could be put to rest. Though it is equally possible it will trouble you as much now as it did then, and merely speed your condition to its end.
So in order to possibly survive, you have to know all of your past. All of your past life. Okay. My past comes to me in pieces. How do I unlock the rest?
You might wait for it to come on its own, of course. But when it comes, it will replace your sanity's last breath. Such is the nature of your condition.
Alright, so option A off the table. Next,
Or you could learn it from someone who already knows.
Theos. Would he remember?
It is said the gods made his memory perfect, that he may never forget his charge. If he ever knew, he still does.
Not
That's
that he would
unfortunate.
tell you, of course.
You have followed the right person for the wrong reason, it seems. We see it often beneath the elms. The soul dragging mind and body to unknown places for unfathomable reasons. You may have wandered into Theos's path many times, in many lifetimes, without an awakening to show you why.
The only thing that's certain is you did not find what you sought.
You said you know where he went.
He has gone down beneath the tower to a place older than we, where the people of Engwith once walked. He makes his way to the buried city, Sun and Shadow.
May he stay down there and rot with the remains of his people.
He may yet. He won't be returning the way he came, that much is certain. He opened a secret path in the tower's base, and saw it destroyed behind him through some vile means.
Is there another way to get to him?
We know of one. On the burial isle, through the court of the penitents, Braeth Yaman. A shortcut, in fact.
Don't be cruel, sister. The way my sister speaks of is not for the faint of heart. A great pit at the center of a forgotten court, where faiths were judged in place of crimes. To most, it is simply a gateway to death. With the help of the gods, it can take you where you want to go.
Gotcha. Help of the gods. Need to make a parachute. Let's go. What do you mean with the help of the
The
gods?
pit is said to have been a means of judgment by the gods. Those cast into it are meant to die. It is that way you must pass to reach Sun and Shadow.
So it's a test of faith. If you are faithful, the gods will save you. And if you're not faithful, well, they just killed the heretic. No harm, no foul. That's not... It's like the witch trials with the drownings. If you go underwater and you drown, well, you were an innocent that died before their time, but at least you died and entered God's embrace. And then if you survived, well, you're a witch, so now we're going to kill you.
There's a reason they call it the Inquisition.
Ugh.
The court is old. We do not know much for certain, but it would seem only the gods themselves can grant passage.
What is this court?
No more than a ruin now. It is older than we. A place for the trial of heretics. We were not here to witness it, but at one time there was a group that refused to acknowledge the gods. Neither the first nor the last, of course, but these were numerous and all put on trial for it. Those who did not repent were cast into the pit and imprisoned below.
I'm so glad we're so much more enlightened now. Now we just blow up the gods.
Yeah, we just skip the middleman, go right for the gods themselves.
The fall killed them, of course. The prison was not for people, but for their souls, and their sentences were eternal. It is said that many of the condemned repented and were permitted by the gods to ascend from the pit, so long as they pledged their service to one of them. But these are old legends.
Yo, I just realized something about the lore of this fucking setting after all these years. Holy shit. Not gonna tell you
Not
until
yet.
the next game.
Oh,
But,
okay.
whoa, my mind has just been blown.
It said that many of the condemned repented and were permitted by the gods to ascend as long as they pledged their service to one of them. And she said that the gods cursed Theos with perfect knowledge so that he could never forget. Or gave him perfect knowledge. I wonder if that's related.
Behind us is Ter Evron, said to pierce the shroud itself and a place of communion with all gods. If ever there was a time for prayer, you have found it.
So the only way to get through this pit is to pray for help.
Not the only way. Just the only one that doesn't end with your body impaled on jagged rocks.
Would I pray to? Any god you can, I should think.
I would pray first to those gods you like best. I hope for your sake, the feeling is shared.
Is there no other way? Like a really, really long rope?
None.
Of course. How do I pray?
Ter Evron is also called the Hall of Stars, and the stars show us the allegiances of the gods. When stars are in conjunction, we know the gods they represent are aligned as well. You should choose a place to pray where you'll be closest to those you want to hear you. If a god stands alone, you should pray to that god. If they band together, you should address them all. Choose your words wisely, for all gods expect proper homage, and none has patience for fools. What do you wish to know?
Alright.
Before you go, tell me this, old one. I'm curious. If you were to subdue your enemy, what would you do with him? What would give you peace?
I always feel like these are like the consequential choices, and I also know that they're inconsequential, but I feel like it measures your character, you know?
Mm-hmm. I love these kinds of questions.
I wish to undo the harm he's caused.
You would need to have twice as many lifetimes as he to repair his savage work.
But perhaps there are strides you can make.
All the same, think on this matter. Be assured in your course. In the end, it may mean all the difference, not just to his soul, but to yours. And be warned. Some questions have answers that can never be learned, and it is those that trouble the soul above all others. May you find an answer to yours.
I think one of the things that drives me most crazy about this setting is how stuck in the past everybody is. Like, the past is the past. Learn from it, but move the fuck on. Don't get caught up in it. Jesus. Drives me nuts.
Look at all the shit you can interact with.
Might as well get started.
Look at all
Book of the
those
Hunt.
books.
Daily affirmations. Do I need these?
No.
Okay. Just information about the
They might
gods.
be relevant. Yeah.
All right.
Just in case you want to know who you're dealing with.
So Galawain is...
Galawain is the god of the hunt in the wilderness.
Yeah.
Abaddon is the god of the forge.
Okay.
Mogren.
Mogren is the god of trial and
fire and war.
Yeah. The queen of birds is
Hylia.
Hylia is the goddess of
orb.
Orb?
Yeah, she's the goddess of orb. You hold gentle like ham porter.
Orb, gotcha.
Yeah, that's really basically all she is, just goddess of bird. And, flight and stuff.
Right. Wotica is
the goddess of law and justice.
In exile.
Mm-hmm. Other gods don't like her so much.
Yeah.
She's very mean.
And she's also who Theos serves.
Yep.
Skane is the god of revenge.
And resentment.
Yep. This is the land occult.
Whale is the god of mysteries and knowledge.
Okay.
And secrets.
Bareth is the god of death.
Death and doorways and cycles.
Mm-hmm.
The whole reincarnation thing is her domain.
Widewin is the god of explosion.
Nothing, he died.
Sorry, no, it's Aethys.
Yes, Aethys, through Saint Widewin, quote unquote.
And Aethys was, or is,
god
the god
of light.
God of just straight light.
Is accurate.
Okay. Giftbringer Aiden. Nope, this is Andra, god of oceans, goddess of oceans.
Mm-hmm. And sorrow and forgetfulness.
Okay. God of cold. Rimmergund.
The god of entropy. He's awesome, but also super evil aligned. Like, hilariously so.
Yoink. You gained an item. Quest.
Stick that in the middle.
Let's just do a quick save here.
What? Why would you need to do that?
Is this going to be based on the choices that we made?
No.
Huh.
This is the choice you're making.
Interesting. What?
Which god do you want to go talk to?
Can you only talk to one?
You can talk to them all, but you can only make a deal with one. Or one group, as the case may be.
Okay, that makes sense. Everybody off.
Yeah, move these nerds away.
Yeah?
Only Gunwitch may approach.
In the nearby constellation, you can make out a shape of a strange horned beast. Time to time, you sense a faint chill emanating from the shrine itself. So you can pray to whoever, but you can only make a deal with one.
Mm-hmm.
Alright, so Rimmergund was entropy, which would be
all life ends in stillness.
Yeah. Feel a sudden gust of cold air as if the shrine were bursting into wintry life. The frigid wind cuts through you like a sharpened blade, and darkness encroaches upon the edges of your sight. You kneel and close your eyes. Whoa, cool! As you pray, the darkness fades to white, and a howling wind fills your ears. The vision that slowly resolves itself is of a broad, frozen plain. You see a procession of elves in the distance, periodically fading into and emerging from the whiteness. They trudge over snowbanks, their heads down against the driving winds. I know this place. This is the White That Wends. As they trek past you, one man bundled in furs turns his head. You headed for Noonfrost and the Frosthewn Breach too? Before you can answer, he's lumbered ahead. You follow the caravan, and in a couple of minutes you come to a wall of ice. It disappears into the pale emptiness overhead and stretches as far as you can see in either direction. The elves stop in front of a mirror-smooth section that's framed like a temple door. It seems somehow thinner than the rest of the wall. You can't see what's on the other side, but a debilitating cold emanates from within. The elves pull pickaxes and shovels from their sealskin packs and begin hacking at the smooth ice, their implements flying through the air in swift, shining arcs. Though they throw their bodies into their labor, not one of them so much as scratches the polished ice, yet with each blow something bellows in the distance. Whatever that is, it's huge and angry, and it's coming our way. Hey, you might want to hold off on that. But the howling wind seems to swallow up his voice. Palagina's head whips around to see where the bellowing is coming from. Forget about the elves. We need to be ready to move. Or fight. The elves hack away, seemingly oblivious to the furious lowing. Then to the tremors under your feet. The snow has risen to your knees. Your legs feel frozen in the drifts. God of entropy, cold, and what?
Desolation. He's the god of the end times, basically.
You watch as the elves continue to work at the ice. They pay no heed to the rumbling roar of the numbing wind. Their movements, however, gradually slow. They labor at the ice with arduously sluggish movements until they finally freeze in place, some mid-swing and others preparing for the next blow. You touch the elf nearest to you, and he crumbles into a mound of snow. A final gale blows past, scattering the remains of the elves in a chaotic flurry. You notice a single spiderweb crack in the smooth barrier. It's the only thing that mars the perfect surface of the ice. Whatever's on the other side of the strange doorway, you feel it tugging at you. Only when you look back and see the parallel gashes trailing behind your legs in the snow do you realize how strong its pull is.
My end comes to all things in time. Seal the frost-hewn breach, and instruct the pilgrims in the patience of Remergond.
Okay.
They really got a different voice for him in the next game.
You fill your hand with snow and shove it into the crack. It hardens instantly, and a hoary rime grows over the smooth surface of the frozen doorway, fusing it with the rest of the wall. When you take your hand away, a perfect crystal of ice remains in your palm. As you examine the crystal, the vision around you fades, but the unmelting shard of ice remains in your hand. Interesting. So Whale's not interested. In the glittering stars of the nearby constellation, you see the grim shape of a skull. Its jaws are open wide, as if frozen in a silent scream. So Bareth was... hold on, let me think.
Death and rebirth.
Okay. That would be... Don't tell me.
No.
Death and... There is life and death and life. There's a rippling shift in the air around you, as if some unfelt wind has changed, bringing unexpected warmth. You feel the peculiar weight of an unseen presence and of eyes upon you. You kneel and pray to Barath. Even while your eyes are closed, you see a road that seems to stretch on forever. The stars wheel overhead in clockwork rotation of constellations, disappearing over the horizon to your left, only to rise on your right. You try to make out the details on either side of the road, but your eyes can't seem to focus. One moment you think you see a meadow blanketed with mist and another sheer canyon walls. For just an instant, you even see waves lapping at the edges of the road. Were you to step into the shifting landscape, you feel certain you would only end up back on the road. You know this is a vision, but the packed dirt feels firm beneath your feet and the night air cool on your face. You are walking. Your feet seem to carry you forward of their own accord. Something looms ahead of you. As you get closer, you see two stone figures that look strangely familiar. The two faces of Sirono, what we call Berath. She shudders slightly, her feathers ruffling as she peers at the figures with apprehension. You remember the door to Cleobon Relag and the two figures carved in the mountain next to it. One looks vaguely male and the other vaguely female. Only a thin layer of flesh covers their skeletal bodies, which twist to face the doorway between them. The doorway, however, is not what you saw in the ruins. It's a skull, gaping and jawless, and as you look on, its open mouth seems to grow. The arms of the two stone sculptures are swept toward the mouth, inviting you in. Okay.
Bareth is made to seem really creepy in this, and they made her super hot in the next game.
The road continues through the maw to another shifting landscape surrounded by stars. As you pass through it, you see an identical doorway in the distance. A dwarven man stands near it, unmoving. You turn and look behind you, only to see the skull gate you just passed facing you. An elven woman waits in the road. Like the dwarf, she stands still.
Go for the Elfu.
Okay. You start toward her. There's something unnatural about the way she stands. She's too still. When you get closer, you see that her legs taper into a slender trunk, and in place of her feet are gnarled, twisting roots. She lifts her face to an invisible sun. Her long golden hair is the color of autumn leaves, and as you look more closely, you realize that her head is actually covered with tendrils and vines spreading brilliant yellow leaves. Each glimmers with the essence of an entire soul. She gives you a beatific smile. As you look on, the leaves slowly fall from her head and settle at her roots. They melt into the path beneath her, and almost instantly, new leaves sprout in the place of the old. She reaches toward you, still smiling, as the roots spring from her fingertips. Her outstretched arms bar the path. Come, graft your soul to the golden grove. Creepy.
Waifu!
Her roots twine around your fingers, and as they do, they grow rigid and cold. Her outstretched arm petrifies, and as a rough stone bark overtakes her flesh, she can only look on in horror. You break away from her brittle grasp. Her feet are rooted in place, but she twists and writhes as if trying to flee her own dying limb. The petrification reaches her shoulder and spreads down her body, freezing it in a painful arc. It creeps up her neck, and she throws her face skyward like a drowning swimmer. The grayness covers her face, freezing her gasp in stone. Now that she is still and lifeless, you can continue past her. Well, that's fucked up. I didn't know that was going to happen. Thanks, Savin.
You're welcome.
Only the golden leaves on her head remain untouched, and as you watch, they fall one by one to the path below. They shrivel as the shimmering essence fades from them. Alright, Dwarf Dude. Continue down the road toward him. He looks up as you approach, but you can't tell if he's looking at you or through you. His face is smooth but flaccid, as if the flesh is detached from the muscles beneath. As you look on, his face begins to change. Wrinkles crack at the corner of his eyes. His mouth sinks, carving deep lines from his nose to the corners of his lips. His jowls sag, and the loose flesh hangs like dough. He raises his cupped hands. They're covered in blood. He lifts them to his face and smears himself with his newly creased forehead from his newly creased forehead to the wattles of his neck. As he massages the dark, sticky fluid into his skin, the fresh wrinkles disappear. The hanging folds recede, and his flesh tightens as if re-adhering to his skull. He lifts his head, and this time you know he's looking at you. His renewed face looks like a mask, artificially smooth and still. Behind it, his black eyes are two hungry pits, yawning like the empty mouths of skulls. Come, make your sacrifice to the Ethic Knoll. His body blocks the path. He extends a bloody hand towards you. You grab his hand, but his skin gives too easily under your grip. As you try to pull away, you hear a noise like dried canvas tearing. Gross! His skin splits, following a long seam that begins at his arm and stretches the length of his body. Blood gushes forth in such quantities that you can't imagine there was ever anything else in him. Sure enough, as the dwarf empties of blood, he collapses like a desiccated husk. The blood in the path gleams like 1,000 souls worth of essence. The essence evaporates, trailing shining filaments into the night sky. Only now that he is dead can you continue onward. The blood pools around your feet, and a voice echoes along the road, barely more than a whisper on the breeze. Return them to the wheel. You look up and see the skull gate ahead of you. The candles of Ter Evron wink through the open mouth. Okay, so now that we've done two, I get it. These are two gods. The gods are asking us to do something to gain their favor, specifically.
Yep, they're each giving you a quest.
Rimergond is saying, hey, you need to instruct people in the ways of the end. Basically.
Well, specifically, he's saying to close a giant breach in reality.
Yeah, okay, cool. And then Bareth is saying there's two people that are not part of the wheel. They have chosen to step outside of life. Bring them back into it. Okay. Why is this one empty? Is this Widewind? Or Aethys? No, Wodika. Yeah, that's probably not going to end well. So there's only 4. Okay. The shrine sits before a bright constellation, its stars forming the owl shape of an egg. Stop it. A pair of wings sprout from the egg, stretching out to either side. Hylia is... live every note of life's song? Yeah.
I mean, come on, birds sing. That's your thing.
Your words seem to ring in the air, your voice rendered melodic and lilting by some unseen art. You shut your eyes to pray. As you wait in darkness, the world around you changes. You feel sunlight, bright and warm, on your face. A light breeze carries music to your ears. As vivid as these sensations feel, you know that they are not real. You look around and find yourself standing in an open-air temple built on a mountain summit. It's filled with elves, orlans, and other assorted kith. Ringing the entire scene is a fringe of trees, their verdant branches filled with birds of all different colors, shapes, and sizes. Durant spits. A paradise for those who would waste their lives exploring the meaningless while corrupting the meaning of the real world. Oh, to set these trees ablaze, Watcher. Everyone is singularly absorbed in a particular pursuit. An Orlan sits with a canvas, a paintbrush in his hand, and jars of green, blue, and yellow pigments at his feet. An elf and an Amawa stand to the side, are locked in conversation, their expressions dancing with delight. Still others scribble stanzas of poetry or crude sketches on sheaves of paper, losing themselves in the delicate minutiae of lines and syllables. You feel the breeze again, and two elves basking in the sunlight shiver. The largest group gathers in the middle of the temple. They sing a lush, chaotic harmony composed of several complementary melodies. Others drift towards the singers in ones and twos as if buffeted by a gust of wind or a phrase of the song. A ripple passes through the trees. You think it's the wind, but the chirping changes to screeching. Hundreds of birds take to the skies, all headed in one direction. Away. Sagani raises her bow. Something must be coming. The devotees glance at the trees, just barely distracted from their activities. But the wind picks up, scattering their pages of poetry and art and ripping the songs from their lips. They look skyward, and you follow their gaze. A dark shape blots out the sun. You can't tell what it is, but as it unfolds and expands, it seems to fill the sky. The wind roars over the summit. Seldom a good sign. Before you can flee, a shadow falls over the temple. It begins as a stain in the corner and spreads, blotting out the flagstones. It reaches the nearest kith, a black-furred Orlan. The darkness swallows her, leaving only a puff of smoke in her place. The two elves that you saw earlier, a man and a woman, flee. You get a brief image of them huddled in the shadow of a mountain. They seem to see you too, and they reach out, calling silently after you. The others, however, seem frozen. As the shadow advances, they likewise vanish one by one. The driving gale scatters their ashes and the charred remains of their creations. You look up again at the source of the shadow, but the eclipsed sun forms a blinding corona around the thing. You can't make out any details. You can, however, feel heat. Restore my temple. You look down and find yourself standing next to Hylia's shrine in Ter Evron. Your pulse still races and your skin is damp with sweat from your strange encounter. Okay. Who we got here? Galawain. Okay.
Oh, woo.
This would be... struggle is our fundamental nature? No, survival begins with strength from within, right?
Mm-hmm.
Catch the faintest smell of wet earth. As you kneel in front of the shrine, you feel yourself pushed forward. You catch yourself on your hands and knees, feeling warm, damp ground beneath them. Looking around, you find yourself crouched in a clearing in the middle of the woods. The smell of dirt hangs heavy in the air. Behind you is a darkened room filled with candlelit shrines. Ahead you hear the howl of some kind of hound. You feel certain this is a vision, but the hairs on the nape of your neck still rise. Oh, we're gonna fucking howl back. The beast bays in response, its voice high and clear. The thick undergrowth shivers with movement, and heavy paws pound the wet grass. You're not certain if the creature is hunting or leading you, but you instinctively give chase. As you tumble through dew-speckled bushes and clawing brambles, each stride feels longer than the last. You draw lungfuls of crisp, clear air and feel your energy renewed. The rhythm of your stride and the thumping of the beast's paws drive the blood thrumming into your ears. You speed ahead, following the hound's cries. When a split-finger pine crashes to the ground in front of you, a massive bear lunges into the gap and roars. It catches sight of you. You turn and race in the opposite direction, leaping over the fallen tree trunk. Pine cones crunch underfoot. The bear lumbers after you. Its hot breath washes over the back of your neck, filling your nose with the rank odor of slaughter. You see a clearing just past a thicket of broadleaves and sprint toward it. As you break through the foliage, you see a massive lioness curled up in the clearing in front of you. With a last burst of energy, you divert your momentum and hurl yourself into the bushes. Any second now you expect to feel the bear fall upon you, but a furious roar on the other side of the clearing draws your attention. The bear is stopped at the tree line. It swipes the empty air with claws large enough to rend armor, but it does not advance. The lioness, for her part, twists her body into a tight coil. She growls, her ears pressed against her head, but she makes no move to attack the intruder. Whose idea was it to stand here? You back deeper into the foliage, keeping your eyes on the two mighty predators. As you crawl backwards, the heel of your hand brushes something furred. A warm sigh grazes your cheek. You freeze in place, turning slowly to see what waits behind you. Two amber eyes shine in the darkness. If I'm dying here, at least it was with my friends. And Durance. Well done, Ed. Well done. The eyes meet your gaze briefly, then turn to the standoff in the clearing. The hound behind you yawns, fangs flashing. When you turn back, the lion and bear have disappeared. In their place is a stone wolf's maw, gaping wide enough to swallow you whole. Beyond it is the outline of a temple, towering but indistinct. Blood must feed the maw watcher. See that a true champion reigns. Okay, so that's it. Wodka ain't gonna talk to us. Whale is fine. And the other gods are crystals, so we can't pray to them. Interesting. Okay, so we have to choose then, right?
Mm-hmm.
Nest above the clouds, a servant of death. This kind of ties into everything that we've done, which is trying to restore the cycle of reincarnation. So I kind of want to do Bareth.
Well, then do Bareth.
I really wanted to do the God of Knowledge, because that would have been cool. But,
God of Secrets doesn't want to, spill any beans.
Well, I can keep a secret. I've never told anyone about
this
that
is going
time
up
that
on
you
a
and
video.
I
You bitch! Shut the fuck up, Dave.
Sure.
I will if you pay me money. So where are we... Hold on. Can I ask these people about this? I have questions.
What do you wish to know? We will tell you. Behind us is terror until we meet again.
So where do
Come
I
on, flirt with the dryads.
It said something about Ethic Knoll. When I learn who or what this is, he will no doubt be nearby. She mentioned a place called the Golden Grove. We haven't found any of these places, clearly. So where the hell do we go, and how the hell do we find out about them?
Did you hear that? About our awakenings being permanent?
Oh, right.
I'm sure it's fine.
If those Delamgon are right, you and I are stuck with our awakenings. Not quite the news I was hoping for.
I'm concerned about you. How are you taking this?
Oh, the knowledge that a barely civilized bumpkin will share my mind and body for the rest of my life? That's kind of you to ask. I'd always believed that Isilmir was an ailment I could cure myself of one day. But now, to think she'll be around forever.
You mean how she's
not that
stuck with you?
I mean, I like Isilmir.
She's not that bad.
Overstarched tunics, burnt toast, Rawatai sherry, those are not that bad. But having a stranger pop in and out of your head at will, it's unpleasant, I assure you.
And on the bright side, I've got plenty of time to figure out how to deal with her. Like it or not, she's part of you, and she could be a source of strength if you learn to work with her.
It's strange. I've lived with her most of my life, and I've always seen her as an adversary. It should have occurred to me the day she stood up to my father. But there's something about being too close to a situation to see it clearly. It will be a relief to stop fighting her.
Even as he says it, something struggles within him. The muscles in his face twitch and his skin quivers. His eyes roll back in his skull, exposing slivers of white. Sweat beads and glistens on his forehead. After several seconds, he sighs and looks back at you. That wasn't as difficult as I expected. I think deep down I'd always hoped to find a solution somewhere. When I was a child, I always thought my mother would come home with a mysterious cure, or that my father, without knowing it, could somehow send her away just as he called her forth. I can't pretend that I didn't spend years of my arcane training hoping that one of my instructors would have the answer somewhere in his grimoire. When I joined the Leaden Key, I hoped and believed that, with enough loyal service, I'd gain the ear of someone in the organization who could help me. Even when I met you and realized your unique talents, I hoped that you might be able to reach into my soul the way I've seen you do with so many others. I've been looking for someone else to solve my problem, and now I realize I've got to face it on my own. I really like that first answer, but honestly, sometimes you don't find the answers in yourself.
Yeah, I mean, well, the problem is in yourself, so
yeah.
Maybe that's poetic.
I've been with you the whole way. I still am.
That means a great deal to me. Truly. That reminds me of something else the Delamgon said. About the gods not being real.
Wait, is that something they said?
I don't remember that necessarily.
They did tell us to pray to the gods, so that can't be entirely true.
Yes, I suppose so. Still, I can't help but worry at the state we'd be in if that was somehow true. If there were no power guiding us in this life and shepherding us to the next.
I'm sure we'd find our way on our own.
I hope you're right.
Did I just not ask them questions or something?
Sure.
Like, hold on. I have a question.
What do you wish to know? We will tell you what. Behind us is Ter Evron, said to pierce the shroud itself and a place of communion with all gods.
Not the only way. None.
Ter
Done all
Evron
these.
You should choose a place to pray where you'll be.
Not the only way. Just the only one.
I would pray first to those gods you like best. What do you wish to know?
The same way that you are no doubt able to peer into the ether and experience the souls of others. You share certain similarities.
Soul has a will of its own. They follow them all the same.
There's something about this place that reaches beyond our... Sometimes it is for love.
Or vengeance.
There is little to be said about us, for we are bound. We have seen the elms grow tall. We have seen cities built, burned.
If you do nothing else.
Until we meet.
Okay, so if they did mention that the gods aren't real, I don't know when they did. But if you can go back and watch this video again on YouTube, feel free to point it out in the comments down below. And in the meantime, there's the Golden Grove.
Look, it's the Golden Grove.
Next time on Character Select, because this has been 40 minutes of me talking to myself.
Glad I picked not it this time.
But thank you very much for watching. Make sure to click that like button down below if you liked it. And Savin!
I guess I'm it for next time.
Yep. I'm going to make you talk to so many people.
Wah.